Good day everyone, you're welcome to Born Tutor channel. We are still under quadratic equation and today we will be solving quadratic equation using graphical method. The question says solve graphically y equals x squared plus 2x plus 1. And to do this, there is one thing we have to firstly do, which is called a table of value. We have to draw a table of value for this equation, and the table of value is what will guide us through the graph. And at the end of the day, we'll be plotting graph of our y on y-axis and our x on x-axis. But the table of value has to entails all the terms you have in the equation. And to get this table of value, we need to find a corresponding value of x when y also has the same value. That is the corresponding of x for the value of y also. That is, we are going to be ranging our x. Let's say we are ranging our x to be from -3 to +3, which means we are going to find the value of our y when our x equals -3. We'll find the value of our y when our x equals to -2 and up to +3. So the table of value will start with our x, whereby our x will be in the table, and you have the value of your x to be -3, you have it to be -2, -1, you have it to be 0, 1, 2, and 3. That is, we are looking for the value of x when x ranges from -3 to 3. But before we know the value of our y, let's find the value of our x squared. That is, if you square all this thing here, what will be the answer? You know, our x is -3, so x squared now for here will be 9. This will be 4. This will be 1. This will be 0. You have this to be 1, to be 4, and to be 9, which is all positive. Also, we need to look for the value of our 2x. The value of our 2x means we are going to be multiplying 2 with the value of our x, and here is going to give us -6. Here is going to give us -4. Here is going to give us what? Yes, -2. Here is going to give us 0. Here is going to give us 2. Here is going to give us 4, and here will be 6. That is the value of our 2x. Let's bring our constant there also, which is 1, and you have your constant to be 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, which is our constant. Extend the line, and you know we are looking for the value of y now. And if you check the equation, your x squared, the value of your x squared was added to the value of your 2x and also to 1 to get your y, which means you will say 9 plus -6, which will give us 9 minus 6, and that will give us 3 plus 1, and you have that to be 4. You do the same thing here. You have your x squared to be 4. So that's 4 plus -4, which is be 4 minus 4, which is 0. And you have 0 plus 1, which is 1. You have here to be 1 plus -2. And 1 plus -2 will give you -1. And -1 plus 1 gives you 0. You have here to be 0 plus 0, which is 0, and plus 1 gives you 1. You have here to be 1 plus 2, which is 3, plus 1 to be 4. You have here to be 4 plus 4, which is 8, plus 1 to be 9. And you have here to be 9 plus 6, which is 15, plus 1, and that's 16. That is, these are the value of your x up here, and these are the value of your y down here. And what you have here is what we call the table of value for the equation we have above. So what we are going to do now is we are going to plot the value of our x against our y. Now let's go to the graph. So before I start, what we are going to do is we have to firstly choose a scale. And to choose the scale, on my x-axis, I'm choosing 2 centimeters to represent 1 unit. As you can see that this graph is 1 unit, 1 centimeter graph. That is, each box represents 1 centimeter. So 2 boxes, I'll be using them to represent 1 unit in this graph on x-axis, and on y-axis I'll be using 1 centimeter to 1 unit. The reason is that I want my graph to fill up, this graph book, because your graph must occupy at least 2/3 of the whole graph. So I will let my x-axis come down here. Since I do not have any negative y, value, so I can allow my graph to come down like this. And here will be my negative x axis, here will be my positive x axis, here will be my positive y axis, and here will be my negative y axis. Since I said on x axis 2 centimeters is representing 2 units, which means here is my origin 0, and from here to here is my -1, and to here is my -2, while to here is my -3. While from origin 0 to here is my 1, to here is my 2, and I have my 3 here, since the scale of x is just 3. Whereby my y that ranges from 0 to 16, I will have here to be 1. I will have here to be 1, here to be 2, I have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. Let me give it 17. I'm using it up to 16. And your negative is here. Negative y is here. But I don't need any negative y because my table of value does not have any negative y. Now, I'll start checking the corresponding value of y for x. That is, when my x was -3, what is the value of my y? My y is 4. That is, I have the point to be here. And also, when my x was -2, the value of my y is 1. When my x is -1, the value of my y is 0. Since the value of my y is 0, I'm picking this line. So when my x is 0, the value of my y is 1, which is here on y-axis. So when my x was 1, the value of my y was 4, and this is my x to be 1, and I have the 4 to be here. When my x was 2, my y is 9, so I have my 2 at x here. I'll trace it to my y to be 9. When my x was 3, the value of my y is 16, which means I'm tracing that up to 16. And those are the corresponding value of my x to y. So the next thing I'll do is I'll draw a line to pick all those points and join them together. You can use a broom to construct your line if you know your hand is not straight, but I'm good at drawing a line, so I can actually have it. So this is how my graph looks like. The question now says we should solve graphically the quadratic equation. What you are going to choose now is what we call the root of equation. And the root of equation is wherever this line that you draw now, wherever it crosses x-axis. And you can see that it crosses x-axis only at -1. That is because the equation we have here is a perfect square, whereby the two answers of your x is -1. The two answers of your x is -1. So your answer, that is your answer for the graph, your x is equals to -1 when y equals is 0. That's the only answer you have, but the -1 is also twice. So let's do another example to illustrate how you can solve quadratic equation, and this time around we'll be using another equation whereby we can have two value of our x. So this is another example of quadratic equation that we'll be solving today using graphical method. We have our y to be equals to x squared plus x minus 2, and we have to solve it using graphical method. Remember, the first thing we have to do is to assign the value for y when x ranges from -3 to +3. That is, we have to draw our table of value. So let's say we find the value for x when the value of y when x is -3, when x is -2, when x is -1, when x is 0, when x is 1, when x is 2, when x is 3. And you have to find the value for all the terms you have in the equation also for you to easily get the answer to your question. So the next one we have here is x squared. And if you are looking for x squared, here will be 9, here will be 4, here will be 1, 0, 1, 4, 9. That will be the value of your x squared. Also, we have our x there. We have our x already, but for it to be easier for us to do, we can just rewrite the value of our x out. We can write the value of our x out. Sorry, here is 2 and here is 3. Then we have our constant to be -2. So you have the -2 all throughout. It is constant. It remains constant. So now to get our y, you have to add your x squared plus your x and subtract it from this -2. You have to add it together and subtract it from 2. So which means you say 9 plus -3. 9 plus -3 will give you 6. 6 minus 2 will give you 4. So you have this to be 4 plus -2, that will give you 2. 2 minus 2 will give you is 0. You have this to be 1. 1 plus -1 will give you is 0. And you have is 0 minus 2 to give you -2. You have here to be is 0 plus is 0, which is also is 0. Is 0 minus 2 will also give you -2. You have here to be 1. 1 plus 1 gives you 2, and 2 minus 2 gives you is 0. So you have here to be 4. 4 plus 2 will give you 6, and 6 minus 2 gives you 4. You have here to be 9 plus 3 to give you 6. 6 minus 2, sorry, 9 plus 3 to give you 12. 12 minus 2 to give you 10. This is 4 plus 2, which is 6. 6 minus 2 gives you 4. So the value of your y corresponding to the value of x is that when x is -3, your y is 4. So we have our table of value already. We just have to carry this and go and plot it on the graph. So let's go to our graph. If you want to draw the graph, the first thing I told us we do is to find a scale. So let's find our scale. Scale x-axis. On x-axis, we can still choose the previous scale, which is 1 centimeter, which is 2 centimeter to 1 unit. That is, 2 bucks will represent 1 unit. And on our y-axis, we can still maintain the earlier scales, that is 1 centimeter to 1 unit. But this time around, we have positive value of x, so we must put that into consideration, and positive value of y, so we must put that into consideration and allow our graph to have negative value of y. So let's draw our scale. Let's draw our axis. let's draw our axis. Let's draw our axis. I'm going to allow y to come up a little bit so I can have the size for the negative value of y. So I can have for the negative value of y. So this will be my graph, whereby here will be my negative x and here will be my positive x. Here will be my negative y and here will be my positive y. So I'm using 2 centimeter on x-axis, which means here is -1, here is -2, and here is -3. Here will be 1, here will be 2, here will be 3, 2 centimeter. And on y-axis, I have here to be 1, I have here to be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And here I have it to be -1, -2, and -3. I have it like this. So the next thing I'll do is I'll be looking for the corresponding of x and y. I'll be plotting it on the graph. When my x is -3, which is here, my y is 4, and 4 is here. I will just trace that out. When my x is -2, my y is 0. Yes, my y is 0. That will be there. When my x is -1, my y is -2, which is here. And when my x is 0, my y is still -2, is still on -2, but only that my x is 0. When my x is 1, my y is 0, which will be here. And when my x is 2, which is here, my y is 4, and it comes back to this place. When my x is 3, my y is 10, which is here. So after you plot everything, you draw a line to join all the points you have in your graph together. You join all those lines together. And we are asked to solve this quadratic equation using graphical method, and our answer in this case will be where the line crosses x-axis, and it crosses x-axis in 2 places, where x is -2 and where x is 1. That is, when my y is 0, my x equals -2, and when my y was also 0, my x is also 1, which is +1. That is, the answer for my x is -2 or 1. Those are the answer for my x for the quadratic equation. Thank you for watching this video from the beginning. Please don't forget to on your notification bell and like this video, and don't forget to share. Please subscribe to this channel. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.